Glad to be joined with Allison Royal again. She quit the same company I quit a little bit after me in TV news. And Allison, you just did a report that was pretty popular. This is on Rumble, had almost 217,000 views, I think. So that's awesome. It just shows the interest that people have in Bill Gates behind all of the big headlines that we're discussing and what his connections could be. But of course, we're going to show you how PolitiFact says that you're crazy if you question whether Bill Gates is connected to anything. So we'll have a full discussion, but I wanted you to give people kind of just a summary of what you discussed here in this formula for disaster. Bill Gates Biomilq pushing formula shortage. I never even heard of Biomilq before. Not shocked at all by it, but I was really interested to see that he was investing in this company, and it looks like the owner of the company, the founder of the company, used to work for the Gates Foundation. So there's all these kinds of connections, and Mark Zuckerberg, all this stuff. So what is Biomilq, and what does this have anything to do with the formula shortage? Take it away.
Thank you for having me, Allison. So Biomilq is Bill Gates' startup that he has, I believe, is over in North Carolina. And the goal is to manufacture breast milk that's made in a lab, made out of chemicals. And it's not breast milk that comes from a mom or maybe the traditional formula that you would buy from the store. And it's pitched as a more climate-friendly alternative, even though I feel like breast milk would probably be the most, that would definitely eliminate the middleman in the supply chain. However, I get that not every mom can breastfeed and that, different health challenges arise. So anyway, I heard about Biomilq when the formula shortage started happening and everyone was talking about it. And you go to the grocery store and you see those empty shelves, or you see them on social media, you see the posts from moms saying, I just drove 3 hours and couldn't find baby formula. Can anybody give me some help? Right. And I started reading about it and I was like, oh, this Biomilq, this seems kind of odd. And then, of course, I find out that Bill Gates is involved by just doing a very minimal amount of digging. And then I'm like, okay, I am suspicious because as I'm not the first person to bring up, we have a pandemic and he is involved with vaccine production. We have a food shortage and he buys up all the farmland. And now we have a baby formula shortage and he's involved with this Biomilq that, again, is going to be produced in a lab and is set to launch in just a couple of years. It just seems suspicious. And I think, as you can relate to, any journalist likes to look into things. And I'm like, okay, this seems kind of odd. So I'm going to start looking into it. And I just started looking into it and started going down the rabbit hole. And that's when I found receipts saying that, Biomilq had received this much money from Bill Gates, and then the Gates Foundation is paying the same amount of money to The Guardian. And then I just looked on Google and I saw that The Guardian was, writing articles that were critical of breastfeeding right after they get these donations from the Gates Foundation, which, as everyone knows, is incredibly lucrative. So yeah, that's what every journalist's intuition is you like to dig into things. And I had a feeling, look, he probably just wants to make money, right? And there's probably going to be more.
I don't think so. I think the guy's got enough money. I was just talking to my parents about this because, as everybody knows, I'm in my jungle studio right now on the coast of Florida. But I don't think he wants to make money. I think this is about social engineering for him. I think it, really psycho-spiritually, I think the guy's got like a fear of death complex or something like that. And it's like the pharaohs building the tomb. It's like leaving your legacy of some kind. But I think once you reach a certain level of financial wealth, what I believe is more attractive for somebody of that nature, and what is like the top of the tier of sort of control, or power, is controlling people's behavior, in engineering society to fit this idea of what you think it should be like, and like controlling people's behavior. I don't think they think of it that way. They probably think of it like, I just want to leave a legacy so that I've left something good for society. But I don't think it's about money at all anymore. Once you get to that level, why does he need any more money? So I think more than that, people want power and influence. And I think that's what this is, whether it's this particular topic or something else related to Gates, all of his philanthropic efforts, I think it's about social engineering.
You know what? I actually am inclined to agree with you about that. He definitely has more tan enough money for his great-great-great-grandchildren to live off of.
Let's talk about PolitiFact for a second. Not like PolitiFact's never gotten anything wrong. If I remember correctly, they'd like retracted their whole lab leak hypothesis thing because they originally said that was way false. Here they say the infant formula shortage was purposely created because Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates invested in artificial breast milk, and they're calling it false. And here they are showing if your time is short, and of course somebody's blowing leaves or something while I'm doing this, but that's okay. We're in the jungle. A national, I know. So they're saying the national shortage of infant formula unfolded due to a recall. Okay, there's no evidence that investment in Biomilq, a startup that makes artificial breast milk by a fund that Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates are involved in, has anything to do with the shortage. So what do you think, Allison?
Well, I don't know anything about PolitiFact, but I'm going to look up who owns them right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's BlackRock and Vanguard. I'm going to look it up right now. PolitiFact owner. Yeah, I'm trying to see who pays for PolitiFact. Oh, it's paid for by Pointer. Okay, enough there. That explains everything. I'm very anti-Pointer. I mean, look who owns it, look who runs it. And
yeah, Pointer's
also,
such a mess.
It's such a mess. And also, like, just look at the stuff they put out and you have to wonder, like, what their agenda is and who's funding it. Like, on Thanksgiving, they put out an article, and I'm paraphrasing, you can look it up, but it seriously said, like, journalists, like, how to convince your unvaccinated family members to get vaccinated before Thanksgiving. And if you read it, it's like, well, all journalists are vaccinated, which, isn't true, but it's trying to make you think that, like, all journalists who believe in truth and believe in science, rah, must be vaccinated. I'm like, okay, this smells like propaganda. Like, it's bad. Honestly, all those organizations, like all those press clubs have totally sold out. I mean, they were probably founded that way to begin with, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. I mean, another thing I think that they do is they rebut extremes, whereas the truth may actually be similar, but not necessarily all the way to what they're rebutting. So let's say that in this particular case, or in a lot of cases, it's not as direct, like it's not as intentional and direct and manipulated as PolitiFact is rebutting in this. Like, they're basically saying what they're rebutting is that it was created for this reason. Okay. Well, you could go one step less and say that there are powerful special interests who are involved in perpetuating and capitalizing on particular situations, and that then they influence a growth, or they influence the situation to go in a particular direction. So maybe they don't create it, but they are like, oh, this would be a great opportunity for us to push a particular product or to get in on this particular issue from this angle, and then manipulate it in this direction. In which case, PolitiFact would have a much harder time rebutting that. So what they do is they often set it up like it's this highly manipulated, intentional, and maybe it is, but that's a much harder situation to prove than just the idea that, like, you would have, say there was, you have an issue at this plant, and so there's contaminated baby formula, and then you have these greedy special interests corporations that are like, hey, this would be a great opportunity for us to jump in on this and steer this in a particular direction. That happens all the time. And that would be a much harder situation for them to rebut. So they like take the extreme version of it, like, no, there's no connection, where it's like, no, there is a connection. There absolutely could be a connection. It just may not be exactly what you're saying.
Exactly. And then you also have to think about, like, anybody who calls himself a fact checker is just like someone's crazy aunt on Facebook who Googles and repeats like whatever they hear. It's the same talking points over and over again. They don't necessarily have to be true, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think all that stuff is completely BS. I don't think real journalists actually look into that stuff, but I completely agree with you. I do think they will capitalize on extremes and take that to discredit anybody that criticizes the movement that they're trying to promote.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It shuts it down, so that also tees you up to be like, well, we're going to put you in the extremist category if you ask any questions whatsoever. Like, there's no gradation of people with questions. But who doesn't make AllisonWinePromo.com? Bill Gates. So if you want to drink something, don't feed it to your infant. Don't necessarily recommend it as a replacement for infant formula. But I can assure you, at least I have I have never heard any connection between Bill Gates and AllisonWinePromo.com. So anyway, go get your Gates-free wine from High Elevations in Argentina. These are amazing Malbecs you cannot get at the grocery store, and you don't want to wait for there to be a shortage on Allison Wine Promo, right? So
oh no,
then bio wine is the next thing to come, right? It's going to be lab made wine. Gates is going to get in on it, and he's going to totally try to hijack my promo, my sponsors. So get 50% off my favorite Malbecs, 50% off shipping, support my work, and help me keep bringing people like Allison on, because Allison's doing some great work. And then don't forget to go support Allison. Also, Allison, real fast before we get on with the last couple questions, where is the best place for people to support you?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, you can subscribe to my Rumble channel, which is New School News with Allison Royal. If you just search my name, Allison Royal, I will pop up on there. The easiest way to find the link, though, is my Twitter is Allison Royal TV. That's Allison Royal TV. And the link to my Rumble channel is in my bio. So if you were to subscribe, it would mean the world, because as you know, YouTube is difficult to work with sometimes. So I try to put a lot of my energy into Rumble and my reports there.
Well, and you're doing a great job. Okay, so then like that really kind of brings me to my last couple questions, which are, so you do this report, which again, everybody should go watch on Rumble. What would be the likelihood that you get to do something like that back when you were in corporate news?
Zero.
And why so?
I would have had to do research on this on my own time at home. Like there's no way I could have ever done this, like, during a day turn. And if I had even brought this up, it would have been, first of all, they didn't give me resources. This isn't like a day turn, that they wouldn't have given me the resources for it. And also the same people that Bill Gates is funded by are the same people that fund Tegna, or really any news company. I don't want to single them out, because it's really every single news company in the United States, without a doubt. I mean, we're talking Gray, we're talking Sinclair, Nexstar, you name it, which if people aren't aware, just like, even if you live in a small town, your news station that you probably watch for local news is probably owned by one of those companies. And you can find that out pretty easily just by Googling it. So yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Okay.
No way. I mean, I'm sure, there was no way I could have ever done that for a multitude of reasons. I think I probably would have gotten an email if I'd even tried, but there's no way they, first of all, they wouldn't have even looked into it, but they would have never let me run it. If NewsPath broke this, then maybe they would run a NewsPath story and let somebody redo it in a local.
Or they would have you do the fact check. You would do the fact check. You would
exactly. Oh my gosh, I would be reporting against myself. Wow. Okay, you just said that perfectly. I would be reporting against myself. I'd be doing the verify.
Yeah.
Remember
verify? That's what they called it.
Oh my God, those are such BS. And I like a lot of the people who do them, by the way.
Yeah.
Like the verify guy who was at my station is like the nicest person.
Right.
But those are all commercials as far as I'm concerned.
This video has been cut short to fly under the community guideline radar on YouTube. So if you want to see the entire conversation, go to one of my other platforms. The links are in the description. The best place to go is AllisonMorrow.locals.com, where you can support my work and become part of my editorial board. We have editorial board meetings there once a week, where you can give me feedback from the week before. You can pitch story ideas for the week ahead. They're very small live chats, and so I definitely will see your comment and get your feedback. You also get exclusive content there, so definitely AllisonMorrow.locals.com. But whatever you do, don't stay here on YouTube. If you want the full truth about what's going on around us, you're going to have to go somewhere else.